What dark secret are you hiding from everyone? When my grandpa was on his deathbed, he admitted to killing fellow Marines in the Vietnam War for torturing and raping young girls. Most of our family doesn't know. My grandpa was a pretty cool guy, very calm and mellow, so my mom and I were shocked when he admitted this to us. He was a gunsmith his whole life and was very proud of being a Marine, but the guilt he carried from the war made him believe he was being punished in the end. He died a really painful and traumatic death that I would never wish on anybody. I hope it lets him rest easier in peace that the majority of you commend what he did. I certainly never held any qualms about it. Don't ask me how I know this, but there are still Marines who handle that kind of business. Most people in my family think that my mother recently died suddenly from complications due to cancer, but she really died from the toxic effects of oxycodone, morphine, fentanyl and methamphetamine. Seems as though she just had herself a secret death party. Not including the meth, but this is more common than you think with chronic cancer patients. After my parents got divorced, my stepdad basically moved right in and started sexually abusing me. I knew it was wrong deep down somewhere, but figured since he was an adult, he knew what he was doing and to trust him. One night my sister caught him red-handed and flipped out and told my mom. Cops came and he got arrested. I was only like 9 to 10 years old, so a lot of it is a blur. At first my mom had me sleeping in bed with her at night, and was babying me, and I loved it. One day, months later, we were walking home from school and we saw me dad's van sitting outside of our house. We weren't allowed in and we saw garbage bags sitting outside. My dad told us that my mom had called him earlier in the week and told him that if he didn't come and get us, she'd get rid of us. She wouldn't come out and talk to us, and I cried. My dad lived in another state, so this meant we'd have to leave our friends and our hometown. Our friends ran after the van as we drove away. For a few years she wouldn't talk to us because she had allowed my stepdad to come back, and that's why she stayed away. Guess she didn't want to face us after what she'd done. She'd chosen a man who'd abused her child over her own children. Eventually we had a relationship with her again, but she was so sick. The funny thing is that she's in a really high up position for one of the largest banks in America. Professionally, people think she's amazing. She's a monster. I finally had the courage to cut her out when I went into recovery from heroin addiction 11 years ago, and haven't spoken to her since. A few people know this story, but not many, and it felt good to get it out to the world. My life has flourished since cutting her off. People always say how I need my mom. LOL. Don't be scared to boot family out of your life just because they're family. Thanks for allowing me to share this. Reddit. Some clarifications. The trash bags were the clothes my mother had gotten together for us. My brother and I each had one bag full of clothes and none of our other belongings. My father was poor. We barely had running water and lived in a little log cabin in rural NEPA, US. He struggled with alcoholism for years and had anger, resentments and shame for not killing my stepfather. Also for not saving us sooner. The women he was with left him when he gained custody of us, and he almost died from that. He got pneumonia and we had to help him through it. I was picked on for a few years at first because we were clearly very poor and kids are dicks. I eventually started fighting back, and then I started to get into a lot of fights. It was a way to have control, and in my traumatized, adolescent mind, if people were afraid of me, then I'd never get hurt again. My addiction was a result of having no coping skills and not wanting to feel the disgust I had for myself and shame. I wound up in jail in 2011, and that started my recovery journey. I had no contact with my dad for almost 10 years, and then I made amends with him in 2018, and he was sober, and we became closer in that time than we'd ever been. I cherished that time with him. He sadly died very unexpectedly after hitting his head in January 2021. Pest control technician here. You're paying too much for pest control. Whoever you hired, unless it's a fairly small company, they are ripping you off. Unless you have cockroaches or bedbugs, YouTube it. Times are hard enough right now. Sometimes I spend whole meetings wondering how they got the big meeting table through the door. The building was constructed around the table. The table has always been, and always will be, at that location waiting to fulfill its purpose of hosting meetings. Not a huge secret in comparison to some of these answers, but I feel the guilt of it often. After my fiancée passed, I napped all the time for over a year. My aunt was calling me one day and I just denied her call, went back to napping. It was my aunt calling because my grandma, who was very sick with cancer, wanted to say happy birthday a day before my birthday. Grandma died the next day. I should have picked up the damn phone. She still loved you and just wants you to be happy. It's okay to not be okay, and sometimes we miss important things for that reason. My uncle owned an old Camaro that collected dust in his garage. When I was around 10, my family and I were in town visiting, and I wrote the word fuck in the dust on the hood of the car. I used my thumb so that the letters were fatter than my normal index finger. A few hours later, my uncle asked us who did it, and I proved it wasn't me by showing how the person who did it had bigger fingers than me. Taking that shit to my grave. I'm 33 now, and the entire family definitely knows it was me. It's an inside joke now where someone tries to get me to admit to it, and I never will. I have to think they knew, but respected the hustle of it. One of my closest coworkers, who is an integral part to our very large corporation, killed a man in his late teens and threw the body in a lake. He only got off on a technicality. I work remotely, so I don't build a lot of personal relationships with people I work with regularly. I googled his full name. It freaked me out at first, but I've kinda gotten over it. I wonder if anyone else knows. It happened 40+ years ago. He will retire soon, and then I might ask another coworker about it. I just don't want to stir the pot. Did you know Bernie from accounting is a murderer? A murderer of fun? Yeah, I knew. My girlfriend started selling used pants and stuff online. Someone wanted used insoles from her shoes. I walk for about 6 hours at a time at work and often just put her insoles in my shoes. Those perverts are getting off to the smell of my sweaty feet thinking it's a girl. My grandpa was stationed in Okinawa, Japan during the Korean War, while in the Marines. He hooked up with a woman there, and she got pregnant. So, I have a Japanese aunt and a few cousins in Japan, whom I've never met before. I'm living with my mom right now cause she's going there cancer, but to be honest, I can't wait to see her go. It sounds horrible, but I'd rather see her go than see her suffer even more. It's not like I would get anything out of her will, it's more like it sucks cause she's always in pain, and seeing her like that brings me pain. I don't know why, but I always keep thinking that one day I will cut all contact with everyone in my life, disappear from their lives, and just keep for myself. I don't know why I think like this. I have some good friends. One of my friends did this in 2015. I still look for him wherever I am, dream that he just shows up. I worry. He's my friend, and I love him, but I'm so mad. We don't know if he's alive or dead, and it is heartbreaking. If you're reading this, I love you, but fuck you, bro. I've been accessory to both my parents' infidelity. At age 5, my mother cheated on my dad while he was deployed, and my brother told me what was happening, and that I shouldn't tell anyone. My father slept with his secretary 2 years later, for a few years, and would even bring me on dates with her, telling my mother we were going to the movies. He took me to her house and had her roommate watch me while they went out, or just hung out in her room. They're still married. I don't know if either know the other did the thing, or if they still are doing the thing. There is a chance they both know, and just stay together for the kids. When I was around 9 years old, I used my mom's credit card to sign up my shitty alcoholic stepfather for a Norp website in hopes of starting a fight and her leaving him. FYI, she did leave after another year or so. Current stepdad is a real keeper. Holy shit, that's really clever. My wife and I aren't officially married. No one knows. We had a ceremony and everything, reception, the whole 9 yards. We just never did the official paperwork. We realized that since she's going back to school, it benefits her financially to go through financial aid as single, rather than married. When she finishes up, we're going to head over to town hall and finish the last step. I owe the bank $100K. Owe someone $1,000? Your problem. Owe $100,000? Their problem. Hey bud, I think they know. My cousin raped me when I was a kid, and to this day I haven't told anyone about it. It's been probably around 25 years ago or so, which makes me feel like it's not worth addressing after so much time. I absolutely hated it when his mom asked me why I didn't invite him to my wedding. I still don't know how I should have responded to keep that a secret. My mom was molested by her parents' cult leader when she was a preteen. In her 30s, she went to court and sent him to jail. It's never too late to speak up about being raped. I fell off a roof at work yesterday. I fell about 8 foot to my side and head. I was rushing and was being overconfident. I told my partner I fell on ice because she worries that I work alone. I could have died and no one would have known where I was until my body started to stink. Hey, you seriously need to go to the hospital. I tripped and fell on my head about a year ago and had to be rushed to the ER, even though I felt like I was fine. I wasn't. Turned out, I had a bunch of fast-acting hematomas that were pressing on my skull. Had to have emergency surgery, was out for 2 days, and spent another 3 days in the hospital. Please, at least go get yourself checked out. Head injuries are absolutely no joke. It's something you really need to be concerned about. I had an IBS attack once and had to violently shit in a church grounds behind someone's car. Used underwear to wipe too and left that there. Not proud. What dark secret are you hiding from everyone? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.